Okay. Well, for some reason it does not want to post to Twitter, but that's fine. Here we go. So, power outages are fun, right? Not the whole stream. Well, actually, my whole computer. Not just offline, but off the power grid for a minute. So, I was discussing the build up to the season of the Drifter, that they were. You had all this build up and it just led to nowhere, right? Because the Drifter and the Vanguard were actually working together the whole time. It's very Scooby Doo kind of moment. That's what I'm worried they're gonna do with what is it? Beyond Light, because Bungie has this terrible issue of really picking a side. They demand that everything just even out in the end. That you don't push the narrative in any specific real direction, because then there would be real consequences and better story writing would be needed. Plus, it might offend the player base if you actually did something major instead of just going the milk toast route, where everything just comes out all okie dokie in the end, and everyone's alright, nothing really happened, blah blah blah. That just bugs the crap out of me though. Even World of Warcraft, the world's biggest MMO, has the guts and the gall to actually push the narrative to the limit. Risk offending players from either side to tell better stories. So instead, what I'm hoping, I cannot emphasize hoping enough, is that Bungie actually goes ahead with some sort of Guardian Civil War where you
This
have to
server has
pick a
been
side.
drained. No, mauled. I see a name carved into it. Rexus Vaughn, the Hangman. I've got a lead on him.
That's nice. But it feels like the odds of them going that route and allowing players to either go against the Vanguard and its absolute faith in the Traveler to go along the route with the darkness is way too far outside of Bungie's wheelhouse and comfort zone. They want to be able to keep everyone along the same basic
That's
narrative
one of Spider's
path
servitors. It might
without
help us out
any
if we
real
free it.
deviation. Because deviation obviously is scary. You have to develop a lot more stories, missions, characters, voice acting. It would just be a lot more than I feel like they've ever been willing to invest in this franchise. That's why you don't even really get a voice as a Guardian. You just go along with everyone telling you, go here, kill that, blah, blah, blah. And that's frustrating to me, because they keep teasing and toy with the idea. Even on IO, if you're an EXO, let's say, there is some Vex
Servitors
tech
are
that you
holy
can
to the fallen.
scan.
They create the
And if
evil
you're
that
an
the fallen need to survive and
EXO
grow.
player,
It's shocking that the Scorn, who were once
thank you
fallen,
for
would
interrupting
even
me,
attack
Ghost.
servitors.
Super helpful. If you're an EXO player and you scan that piece of Vex tech, you get a unique bit of dialogue about you as an EXO having this dream of killing everyone you know and Deep Stone Crypt and all that your ghost is terrified by. promptly hopes that you just never bring it up again. That was cool. That could even come back in Beyond Light. Since you're going to be exploring the Deepstone Crypt, the creation of the Exos, you could actually tie it back in. Or how if you're an Awoken player and you go to the Dreaming City, a lot of the guards and paladins, what have you, in Dreaming City will refer to you as sister or brother, recognizing that you're one of them, even if you are a guardian from the city. I mean, it makes just this unique little moment for you that allows the choice and race that you are to actually matter. I mean, how often does it in any way impact the world or the story that you're an Exo, an Awoken, or a human? Now's your big chance for that to come to something. To mean something for once. But there's, I feel, no way they're gonna go for it. But hey, let's say they did, right? Let's say Bungo actually went for it. Just went balls to the wall, no hold bars kind of thing. What would that end up looking like? We've seen in the trailers how Elsie Gray, the stranger,
He's heading for the slums.
actually has some kind of, I can't say actually a lot, I'm sorry, not the best alive. Can be a better. I'm hoping you can help me with that. She comes back and she's got that little fish-looking sucker behind her, following around just like a ghost. So could that be some form of darkness ghost? Could the darkness be just deciding to really, I don't want to say mock the travelers chosen, but I mean, there are two sides of the same coin, so maybe that is its answer to ghosts. Could guardians who choose the darkness get that same thing? Instead of having just our ghost, could we transplant him, I guess, into a darkness shell? Think about how many options just for narrative that would be. Not to mention customization. Hell, if Zavala can sit there and chat it up with a couple of Red Legion soldiers, Centurions no less, that we see in the campaign trailer they released a week or two ago, why shouldn't we be able to get a brand new Ghost/Darkness ship? We could then start our own new base of operations on Europa with Elsie Bray and Barracks. At the very least, it would be something different and interesting. Shake things up a once in a way that Destiny has never really been willing to do before. Made it so difficult to be a long-term Destiny fan, since you know that the end of any expansion is just gonna end essentially the same. Nothing will have really changed. Nothing will have been improved necessarily. even with the highly praised Taken King, world-wise, how long before that had any impact? So basically hasn't even to this day. No one has stepped in to be the new Taken King. Savathun hasn't laid her claim to the throne. She hasn't even necessarily done anything, if we're being honest. What on earth has Savathun really done to impact this last season of the Arrival? She's mostly just got in the way. That's the problem with Destiny. They see the correct, possibly better course, and then they just veer in the opposite direction. So you could have, instead, that darkness shell, ghost shell, base on Europa, where you start building your own last city. You team up with Barracks. And hell, take over the House of Darkness that Mithrax is. Right? Worked for Uldren for the longest time. Why can't we do the same? Take over a fallen house in order to build our own little army. Barrett, Uldren's even coming back, which would just make it even easier because the fallen would still recognize him, whether he has his memories back or not. He would be a great step towards that. And just the general drama that would ensue. Us trying to work with the man who killed Kitty. Then being able to, say, point out the hypocrisy of Zavala, who went from refusing to go and avenge Cade's death to not wanting us to work with him. The guy who did it. Zavala, who wanted nothing to do with Rasputin, but then opened up the gates to the city for him. Let's point out a man's hypocrisy for once. Instead of just pretending Zavala is not flip-flopping.
Causing pain. Let's get out of here, Guardian. I don't want to think about what he did to Cade.
That opens up issues for
6
him
names
and
off our list.
Ikora.
Only 2 left.
Possibly trying to figure out what the hell to do
Maybe
with
Petra or
you,
Spider has a lead on the
their
machinist and the
heroic
fanatic force.
guardian, who's now basically switched sides, at least in their eyes. Do they hunt us the way they never would hunt Uldren? Will they send, what is his name? The warlock from the Infinite Forest. Obviously, I play mostly as a hunter, so I don't always remember the other peoples. Plus, I'm a scatterbrained historian, so the name escapes me pretty easily, but you know who I mean. We see him in the story campaign pop up, whatever, multiple times. We see him with Uldren, we see him with Zavala and the Red Legion Centurions. I mean, there's so much there you could do. The interplay of relationships alone. With everyone having to figure out what side they're gonna fall on. Who's right, who's wrong. Tying it all into the creation of the Exo and their apparent connection to the Vex. You see some of those Vidocs and things, that there is some kind of connection between the Exo and the Vex, which has been suggested before, even just recently on Io with that unique dialogue. What would that mean for the Exo in the last city? What would it mean for Guardian Exos? Will they have some kind of crisis of faith? Will they lose their belief in protecting humanity? A tie-in to how the Awoken are always sitting on just that fine line between the light and the dark. Would this prove them right that you don't have to choose a specific side? You just have to choose what will allow you to survive? Because Lord knows, we haven't really explored the issue of Awoken's basically fence sitting since it was brought up by Elsie Bray in Destiny 1, where she mentions that no one should sit in between the light and the dark with the light. That would be so... There's just so much there you could contend with. Instead of, again, just ignoring all of these various plot points that would create a lot of tension between characters and create unique divides between people. But again, I'm sure they're just gonna go with the whole, no, we're just gonna make you go explode a bunch of stuff and then pretend that 99% of this never really happened. And none of it will have any kind of serious impact, so that we don't tie ourselves off from any kind of avenues later. I mean, let's be honest, them killing off Kate was the boldest thing that Destiny has probably ever done. And they mostly did that because the voice actor just couldn't get into the studio enough. And it was becoming too much of a problem to keep Kate around. If they could have kept Kate alive and kicking, they'd have done it. Come on. No way I'm going for this idea that they really were like, yes, we're going to shake things up and killing off Cade. Well, we're going to shake things up for a moment. Then we're just going to forget that we killed him off, and that there's no Hunter Vanguard leader, and none of this is going to have any kind of meaningful impact in the future. Okay? Okay. That's how it feels. Especially as a hunter. The Vanguard's obviously divided. The hunters have no leader. And it's just been left sitting there for a good 3 seasons or more now. Untouched. Basically unmentioned. What was the point? And that's what I'm trying to get at more specifically in all this, is that you can't keep creating these possible major conflicts and then just dump them in a hot second, because you got too close to something you're not ready to deal with as storytellers.
I'm showing a
It comes down to a real shit or get off the pot moment. Either these seasons and the storylines they're telling are going to have an impact, or none of it matters. It was all just glorified set pieces. And we'll essentially just move on from it the second the story wraps up. That's boring and bland. never-ending story, essentially. Because otherwise, that's all you're doing. No one's death matters, hardly anyone dies. All just a big joke. Keep racking in breaking in microtransactions at the gas shop. I want this stuff to start to matter. I want the idea of us using darkness powers to matter. Especially just in terms of how the Vanguard's gonna feel about that. Think about it, Cora Ray, one of the Traveler's most loyal believers. She is just constantly sat there waiting for that big ball in the sky to do something. Now here's us starting to use the powers of the thing that caused the collapse, allegedly, that harmed her beloved Traveler. What will she think about us in respect of that? Could we have her start out trying to pull it back towards the light? Or will she just be like, no, I'm going to break you in half. You are too dangerous to be kept alive, sort of thing. I'd love for that to happen, honestly. Because that leads into things like Crucible or Gambit. Imagine if we had a proper Guardian Civil War going on in Gambit or the Crucible, where on one side you have Guardians who've started following the darkness, and on the other side you have Guardians staunchly behind the Traveler, duking it out with each other over their truly religious differences at that point. Since that's what this would really be, is a theological fight. You have one set of people who believe in this God, and you have another set of people who believe in this other God. Who's right? Who's wrong? Does it even matter? Other than to them personally. Would we be to blame for not stopping it? For courting Guardians back away from darkness? Maybe that's something we could actually do as a Guardian. Where we could be either trying to convince people to stick with the light solely, or go straight to the darkness, or sit there with the Awoken in between the two. I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top. I would actually prefer that over almost any of these other ideas. Us courting other Guardians to join our cause would be so fun. It would also be unlike anything Destiny's ever done before. Which should go without saying would be fantastic on its own. Think about that, really. it would break up so much of the monotony that is plagued this game for so damn long. Finally, things would matter. Going back to my original thought, though, is Bungie willing to go that far? Dive into the more RPG elements of an MMO? Which I know they keep insisting, no, this is not an MMO, stop calling it an MMO, we don't want to make an MMO. Just because we did doesn't mean we wanted to. Yeah. Ah. Right? And they're so afraid of offending anyone in their player base in terms of story that they end up offending everyone because we all stop giving a shit. Why should we care about any of the storylines in any season if by the end it'll basically not happen anyway? Narratively, that's boring. On top of that, narratively, it's annoying. The whole idea here, if you're gonna tell a story, is that it has characters, plot, stakes, and a meaningful resolution. Now, can we find anything in Destiny that has had that kind of meaningful resolution? Every time it ends up boiling down to, okay, you've defeated this week's version of the big bad. Tune in next week for an even greater threat. Where we'll just never discuss the last great threat and any of the impact it had ever again. Either this is an evolving world. Oh look, that issue they said they fixed but didn't. Where you end up glitching out the tower. Funsies. Yeah.
Hi.
Weird tangent there.
Hi there.
Either this is an evolving world
It's a Guardian's journey. Let me check
with characters and
Your return honors me, Guardian.
planets that are going to be affected by what's happened before,
yes,
or
Guardian,
it's
by
just
all
going to
means.
be
Let's get
essentially a
started.
kid's Saturday morning cartoon show where you'll defeat the Guardian, you'll defeat the big bad of the week,
Circumstances change, but the data remains.
and then next week it'll be rinse and repeat. Where there are no real stakes, none of this really matters, and nothing you do counts. And that's just gonna help you bleed players even more than you already are. People want what they do to actually matter. To have some level of impact that they can actually see.
Take it easy.
The best we get from that is that busted up old tower that we used to visit. When the hell was the last time we brought that up? When the hell did that matter last? I can't remember, can you? That should be a decent roll. Fast draw. Huh. Aggressive frame though. yeah, that's never worked for me. And frankly, I don't think it's ever really worked for anybody in the Destiny PvE community.
Oh no.
Seems the only impact that these changes ever have is on PvP, which gets thrown out of whack every time they introduce new subclasses or abilities or these really unique guns that you get from the story mode. Not really endearing for anybody who enjoys PvP, knowing that every time they introduce something new to PvE, it's just gonna screw them over. Why should they care about this world going forward any more than the PvE players who can't get anything meaningful out of the story? I guess what I'm saying in general is this thing is a mess, and Beyond Light is a big chance to change things up,
Nuts.
create
think
those
all
stakes,
Gambit,
and
is for nothing?
meaningful.
that I do this because I like it? Sister,
Like that.
you don't know
Meaningful changes to the storyline. And I already have one like that. Oh,
I need you.
but Godspeed good. Does any of us believe they're gonna do that?
Oh, that's a nice little haul. Hope the payouts is good.
I want to have more hope for Destiny going forward. I've been
Hey,
coming in
let
and
me
out
know
with this
whenever you
game
feel like
for
throwing some
years
taken
now. Ever
at your
since the
friends.
beta of Destiny 1, I've been involved in this game in one way or another. But increasingly, I don't feel the need to anymore.
What's up, hero?
I think Season of the Drifter might have been the last time I was meaningfully
Don't break
engaged
that,
with the
alright?
game. Might have been actually clear back as far as Forsaken,
Don't waste this.
which should tell you a lot about how little of a crap I give about this game anymore because of how repetitive it's gotten. Ugh.
Be smart with this.
I shouldn't
Go throw
feel
some
like I'm
taken at
just in
your
a
friends.
bounty simulator where what does any of it matter? What good is any of it to focus on? I don't want to just feel like I'm just he's just sitting there ragging on Destiny just to rag on Destiny. I love Destiny. Always have.
Drifter needs more
It just
mooks.
keeps getting harder.
What are they doing out there? Shooting blanks?
Just makes me feel like I'm in the meme of Revenge of the Sith with Padme crying out that you're going down a path I can't follow. Come back to us, Bungie. You used to tell these amazing
Underway.
stories. I mean, think about how much happened
said
between
she wanted to
Halo
express
1
herself.
and 3.
Thumbs up.
Apparently we're doing fireworks today.
Good luck
I
out
don't know if this is part of the end season event that they were discussing, or if somebody activated something with those giant balls. Kinda wish Bungie had as big of balls as they put in their game. Yeah, that was a low blow, I know. Yeah, apparently that was just something about those giant balls. Not, again,
You're back.
anything meaningful, important.
Make good use of it.
honestly, I'm hoping more and more that a game like Godfall, which is coming out next week, shortly after Beyond Light comes out, you have
Much to be done.
Godfall
little time
coming
to
out,
do
which
it.
is a
The pyramid must be
melee looter, I think they called it. Use swords, axes, and hammers instead of guns. It's almost a fantasy version of Destiny with gods and monsters and the like. Is that... If that game ends up being real competition, where it's genuinely good, it's got amazing stories, fantastic lore, badass loot that isn't stuck behind a freaking paywall, is that what it's gonna take for Bungie to be like, oh, huh, I guess we better actually start doing something worthwhile again with this franchise, instead of constantly complaining that, oh, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, and all that crap. I mean, come on. Of course.
I must once again ask you to venture into the dark.
Especially since
Move
it's
quickly, but
been
carefully,
found out
Guardian.
that Beyond Light, the season that comes with it, for all the money you're paying for it, comes to like 50, 60 bucks. It is smaller than Forsaken. It's possibly not even as big as Shadowkeep. And y'all want me to be excited about that? For real? What am I supposed to be excited about? Paying you more to get less? And it may seem like that doesn't have a huge impact on the narrative, but if you can't invest the same amount of love and detail and time into Beyond Light that you did in Forsaken, then what's the point? What are the odds that your storyline is going to be anywhere near as good? You have to prove to me that you actually give a care about me. Not that you are just out for quick cash from keep players coming back. Stopping the content crowd from going on. Frankly, that seems to be more what you're concerned with. Don't drip feed them content just the right amount at just the right time. They'll I'd actually like to hear what some other people have to say. It's kind of a weird experience for me to just sit here and talk to a camera. Not entirely used to that still. I don't need you to... I'm not gonna sit there and beg you to like and subscribe or anything. That's totally up to me. Just maybe leave a comment with your feelings about Beyond Light. Do you have hopes that they're gonna change things up enough? Or is it gonna be the same crap, different day spiel that we've been getting for years now? Either way, I hope that this has been at least a small improvement on a couple of the live streams I did before, despite, you know, them, the power giving out multiple times. Or work getting in the way. Sometimes, I know.
The bridge is lowered.
But
Let's move.
Really, I'd love to just interact with anybody who checks these out. Doesn't matter how many. Doesn't matter if you agree with me, disagree with me. I'm genuinely eager about what other people would say or think about this. I don't want to just sit around in a friggin' echo chamber only hearing people completely agree with my writings. And at this point, I don't want to pick these guys over by dropping out stuff soon, so you can either stop listening now. I said the bigger portion of what I was wanting to get across. Yeah, if you want to just hang out, you can, and if not, that's cool. No big deal. Know that there are a lot more put together YouTubers out there. I am kind of like psyching myself out as much, man. I'm a YouTuber for fun instead of trying to make it a profession. Don't know if it's ever really gonna go anywhere, but a few of you subscribed, so, you know, that was cool. Still a weird concept to me, because I'm just some jackass in the Pacific Northwest who wears quite probably too much denim and spikes, who sits around making sarcastic comments all the time. But apparently, some of you actually enjoy my nonsensical BS enough to want to keep hearing it. Oh! That was your face! That's actually been kind of a weird, fun experience for me. Most are not used to people genuinely be interested in listening to what they have to say about things. For as loud as we scream and crap, I don't know if we should just realize that that's probably the reason why so many people tune us out, or if, or what. Like I said, I'm not very good live still. Rather awkward. So if you haven't figured that out by now, you should be as awkward as me. Also gotta figure out how to pop out box for the chat works.
Do you feel it as I do?
I have no idea if anybody's been trying to talk back to me this whole
A
time.
hatred as pure and potent
I
as
haven't seen
sunshine,
it because I
soaking
am
through
an
your
old,
skin.
crotchety man who doesn't get how
Ashladun
technology
knows what
works.
you are,
I am, by the way.
what you've done.
I have references.
She watched you cut through Crota, Oryx, Omnigul,
Remember all
and
those guys?
she is
Crota,
eager
Oryx,
to return
Omnigul.
that pain.
Remember how none of that mattered in the end? That was fun, right? Yeah. I want stakes or continuing storylines, meaningful outcomes. We'll leave all that kind of stuff to those nerds who actually like story. We're not telling stories, we're blowing shit up. I actually just realized that I think Rambo has a better continuing story than Destiny. Wow. Oh my god. Oh, that was mean of me, and I don't even know that I care. Oh. Like, no one ever with the friggin' snipers. Believe it or not, They will not just stop shooting because you ignore them. That's not how sniping works. Not how any of this works. In the shining purple ball. I know this has got the most amazing, fantastical live stream you've ever witnessed, right? I'm not the biggest fan of why. Why you gotta hit? That's not nice. Try to be your friend. To be my friend. Oh, that's not what this community is about, by God. Oops. Kind of. If anybody can mention, does anybody else use this pulse rifle battle scar? It's got like the most simplistic design and I friggin' love it. Quick, smooth. It's just very no nonsense. Get the job done and go home then again. I like that. Bye-bye, Crayon Eater. Must suck to be you. Is he alive? Oh, that's gotta suck even more. Shit. He can't die. Ooh. That's unfortunate. Hey, look. He's alive. He's alive. Awesome. Nice. Sure. Yeah, so I think this strike is almost done. And then I will be shutting down the live stream here, so if anyone ever makes it this far, you are an amazing human being. And just deserve all the things. Massive exotic loot drops for days on end. Joining allied, what might happen? You're gonna join your allies. Drop.
Here she comes.
Just get me on something. Oh, that's just cheating. Dude. Do the whole thing all over again.
Yes.
the loot and
It's over.
get out
Hashladun
of
is dead.
this instance here.
This is a relief to hear. But Hashladun's presence is no
Hopefully
coincidence.
this has been
The Hive
not
must have
too
grander
rambly
ambitions for the pyramid's
or
influences.
incoherent for you.
Return to me. There is much to discuss.
And, shut up, Eris. Really nothing to discuss. So, I will see you guys around.